Hello and welcome to Heroes of Marketing Cloud, the show where I interview Marketing Cloud experts. My name is Anthony Lamot. I'm the CEO and co-founder at DESelect. And today I'm talking with Lukas Lunow. Lukas has had a tremendous career, including being an architect for many years at Salesforce. And since about over a year, he's been a senior engineering manager at Maersk, a global logistics company, leading a team of engineers and architects. Now, Lukas gives great insights on how to think about architecting and designing and strategizing about your marketing cloud and beyond. And he also gives the advice that a great architect listens. So, on that note, I hope you have a great listen. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hi, Lucas. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Anthony. Thank you, and thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. We've had a exchange for quite a while online. I've been following you for a long time, so it's super cool to have you here. And I'd like to start off the talk with the question, what inspired you to become a leader in this space? I think it will be interesting for people on the call to hear your career journey and how you found your way to Marketing Cloud.
Yeah, it's a good question, and my adventure with Marketing Cloud starts actually more or less exactly 10 years ago. I was working with a media company in Denmark back then, and we just acquired what was exact target back then, I think. And 10 years ago, I went to Indianapolis, attending my first Connections conference. Where Journey Builder was the new big thing. And that was where Journey Builder got announced, and you would think that Journey Builder has been there forever, but it's actually relatively new, and I still have some photos and recordings from then. It doesn't look anything like it does today, so they've come a long way. But after that, I joined a marketing agency and then Salesforce partner before I got into Salesforce itself, where I was for more than 6 years. And when I was super happy, had a lot of fantastic customers, traveled around Europe, inspiring people, building some really nice marketing cloud implementations for global customers. It's been super fun, but at some point you want and need to try something new. And I always wanted to see, how successful can I become building my own organization and inspiring my own employees in this area. So with all the knowledge and all the experience I had, I kind of wanted to pass it on to people around me and watch them grow. So I joined Maersk more than a year ago. We're in a role where I'm responsible for a team of engineers and architects who are working on, well, not only marketing cloud, but a number of cross-cloud projects across multiple Salesforce clouds, but always in the context of marketing. So a lot of lead nurturing, lead acquisition, digital journeys for new customers and existing customers. So yeah, super exciting and again a huge global impact and a multi-billion dollar international renowned logistics company. So yeah, super great.
That is awesome. By the way, I think the only thing that hasn't changed over the years is the exact target URL that is still there, which is kind of hilarious. I'm
Yeah.
sure though that our audience will be very curious to see some of those older photos from Journey Builder initially. I'd love to see them myself.
Yeah, I can find them and share them with you. There are also actually I've found a reference to the recording of the Journey Builder keynote back then. Yeah, it's super nostalgic and really fun to watch, and it's
That is
still there
awesome.
online on Exact Targets on Marketing Cloud YouTube channel. But yeah, I can share with you.
I appreciate it. So you've done a very interesting career path. What was the transition though? What was the transition like switching to Marsk and leading that global team, building that global team?
It was and it is still challenging. So when you're a consultant, you come in when you know all the most of the decisions are already made. People kind of have a good idea of what they want to do, and you come there with a specific task at hand. Being in an organization as part of the organization, it's more of an ongoing it's more an ongoing effort to not only to build, what has been planned, but actually contribute to planning, what will we be building next year? What kind of resources do we need? Do we want to build it ourselves? Do we want to buy a solution from a vendor? So you get much more time that you spend on discussions, on meetings, on alignments than when you are a consultant. Because as a consultant, of course your hours are worth gold, and that gold is used best when it's being spent on actually delivering some value, right? And now it's more on the long-term value rather than let's build this here and now.
Right. I hear alignment, long-term value. There's a bit of vision there. It all resonates very strongly with me. I'm building an organization too, obviously, though in a very different context. So as an enterprise organization, I've worked in contexts like that. There's tons of alignment. Um, so thank you for sharing that. I think it's useful. If I can go on a small tangent here, you in passing refer to the choice you sometimes need to make of buy versus build. And especially in
Yep.
your role, I imagine it's something you think about a lot. Can you share a little bit about how you approach such a question?
Well, it it depends. It depends a lot on, how complex a solution are we looking at. Let me give an example. If you want to do a quick integration, you could go with uh, Zapier.
Mm,
It's a straightforward platform. It can do easy point and click configurations, and bang, you have an integration between Facebook lead forms and Marketing Cloud, or whatever. So this is one area where I say, well, this is something we can either build ourselves or use some of our existing capabilities to do. But when we are talking about something more complex, let's say we, uh, if we look at some of the Salesforce products, for example, Data Cloud, one would think, well, it's quite easy. It's about, taking some data from 3 or 4 or 5 systems, consolidating them, enabling some capabilities to do simple queries, and then spit it out as segments into various destinations, so you can use it for your marketing campaigns. Well, that's part of it, and depending on how you scope it can be doable yourself. But what you need to remember always is, let's say, even if we had 20 engineers, we could commit to building something. We might say, okay, we want to build a CDP. Okay, let's build a CDP. Let's put these 20 really skilled engineers on the CDP project for half a year. Uh, they know exactly what to do. We have some really good architects. Let's go. What happens is you look at what Data Cloud can do today, and you try to build it. When you finished in half a year, you're already 6 months behind. Then Salesforce probably have already done 3 or 4 or 5 releases, and they just launched new shiny thing on Data Cloud. Okay, what do you do then? You only committed to have these 20 people working for half a year on this project,
mm,
but then your target is actually moved further away from you. Do you continue allocating them? Do you actually want to put, many more engineers on this task? That's, I think, the really important consideration, and not so much can you build it, but can you build and keep on improving that? Um, you have various data sources. Um, Facebook can change their API. You can have another application changing their API. You always need to adapt to ongoing changes and fix stuff. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to have a company like Salesforce, Microsoft, whoever provide something for you, software as a service? You don't need to worry about your roadmap. It's being taken care of for you. You don't need to care about maintenance. It is taken care for you. You only need to focus on, driving value out of this, right?
Yeah. Makes all sense to me. I've seen customers do both buy or build. Now, sometimes I do think there's sense in building when it's super industry specific or super customer specific, and the vendor will never give in to such customization because they have to serve a large base, right? That's,
Yeah.
for a vendor like us too, we need to take into account what all our customers want. We can't just cater to one single customer. But having said that, the mistake that you point out that customers make, or that teams that want to build their own stuff make, is that they sometimes don't factor in not just the maintenance and the hosting, which is also a real thing, but the ongoing support, the ongoing
Mm.
development. Because the reality is
Yeah.
that probably a ton of your stuff is going to come up afterwards. I noticed in my own CRM too. We implement it, but then tons of little small requests and changes do occur over time. I need that support foreseen. Um, Lucas, you've just been named Salesforce Marketing Champion, so hey, welcome to the club.
Thank you.
Um, but you're also a Salesforce Form Ambassador. And so that's something that I'm actually not even familiar with myself. So I think it would be really interesting for our audience if you could just briefly highlight what's the difference between these two denominations.
Yeah. So Salesforce Marketing Champion, it's Salesforce is looking for people who are passionate about their technology, who are eager to share their knowledge with the rest of the world by contributing with their own blogs, being trailblazer community group leaders or similar around Marketing Cloud. Whereas Trailblazer Forum Ambassador, it's more about people who are active in the Trailblazer community online. So I started off by posting answers on Salesforce Stack Exchange, but the number of questions has been declining over the years, and now I've switched to mostly contribute to the Trailblazer community groups on Marketing Cloud. And forum ambassadors, they have that extra privilege. They can delete questions. They can they have some more authority on the forums, and they can be their responsibility is to make sure that they are the extended law enforcement of Salesforce beyond their own staff, who is also, of course, monitoring these forums. And my main agenda, or one of my key agendas, is it has two items on it. One item is, of course, to improve the quality of the questions that are being posted there. So we often really need a lot of context when people ask about specific problems. And sometimes it's just, a single sentence. I expect people to do some research before they post something. I don't want to people basically post, hey, do this for me. The other item on my agenda for being the forum ambassador is, and I know I'm fighting a losing battle, but it is to fight answers that are clearly generated with LLM, so generative
Hmm.
AI, ChatGPT or similar. I see a lot of examples where people just take the question, paste it into a prompt on ChatGPT, and paste the response into the community groups, and it's often really rubbish. It doesn't really address the actual point of the question. It is often misleading. We've all heard about AI hallucinations.
Hmm.
So suggest you to use AMP functions that don't even exist. It's a bit fun, but also super annoying, because if you are new to Marketing Cloud, if you don't have experience in AMP, you will take it for granted that this is a correct answer. It looks legitimate. So
Yeah.
you might struggle for, at least some time to make it work, whereas it will never work because GenAI is not always right.
That's so interesting that you're fighting against that. So for people browsing such forums, what will be a telltale sign you think that the answer is Gen AI generated?
I think the main part is GenAI is, if you look at the answer, and I think it depends on what application you're using to generate these, but often what you see is it has a lot of specific markup. So
Hmm.
it has
Oh,
some
yes.
bullet points, it has some bold words in the beginning of the item list. You can read out of the content. It's very it it has some terms it often uses, and uh, it's like it kind of addresses the actual question, but it never questions the question.
Mhm.
It will never say, well, are you sure this is the right thing to do? Have you considered this versus this? It often just says, in order to solve this specific problem, these are the steps you can follow, and then all the steps below. Should this not be effective, you can always reach out to your Salesforce account executive or support to get more guidance. And it's always the same formula. So again, when you start, reading through all the content, you can start seeing that this actually has some content that is looking quite poor.
So, Lucas, aside from being the guardian of the Trailblazer community against Gen AI generated answers, you're also very vocal on LinkedIn. One of the things that I noticed you've talked about a few times is that companies will often rush into marketing cloud implementations without strategy and preparation. So I think, especially for someone with your role, you probably have a few interesting insights you can share in how you think about strategic planning, maybe even have an example there.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes I see that Marketing Cloud is being oversold by Salesforce. People, they suffer the Dreamforce effect. They have seen
No,
Dreamforce.
never happened.
They've seen a lot of fantastic use cases by Coca-Cola, by
Mhm.
Heathrow Airport, or whatever, and you then think, wow, if we can just get our hands on Marketing Cloud, it will solve everything for us.
Mhm.
And there are two things that go wrong. Well, many things can go wrong, but the two main things that go wrong is people might be using another tool today. For instance, Adobe Campaign or Eloqua, whatever. And what they do is they basically do a lift and shift. So the data they put into Eloqua today, they'll be using the same integrations and just put into Marketing Cloud. The same type of journeys, the same type of emails. They just copy paste it into Marketing Cloud. And often the problem is, so the reason they replace it, obviously, is they're not satisfied with what they can get out of Eloqua today. And it's not to do Eloqua bashing. I'm just taking an example. It can be any
Mhm.
digital marketing platform, but let's stick to Eloqua. So they might not be super satisfied with the value they're getting out of their current platform. So they just do a lift and shift. But the
Mhm.
problems are often a combination of the platform and the entire system landscape. They might not have, specific system of record for customer identity. They might not have uniqueness of their leads and contacts. So you can have 5 leads with the same email address because they're not being deduplicated. Each time people submit a form on their website, a new lead gets created. So a lot of issues, if they are here today and you just do lift and shift, they will prevail. Even though you have Marketing Cloud, you'll keep struggling with the same challenges. So it's really important to, before you even buy your licenses, is to team up with an experienced architect who does not only know about internals of Marketing Cloud, but also understands enterprise landscapes and how can you address the entire system landscape before you even consider replacing your marketing automation platform. So that's one thing here, right?
I've thought about something related to what you just said, which is in the consulting world, there's often the notion of the as is and the to be, the current state, future state, whatever. It gets called a little bit differently across geographies, I've noticed, but that's the basic idea. Now, I think that serves a very clear purpose, namely, it helps the consultant understand the client's landscape, which is very important for them to get a view. But I think a side effect that sometimes happens because of that is that because as is so clear, people automatically fall into the trap of, oh, we need to do that lift and shift, as you said. And I know it's a little bit harder, but trying to turn around the question of, okay, what do we really need in the future and what are going to be the use cases, even to the level of, okay, what exact emails are we going to send out? Because if you know that, you will know what is the personalization you need, you will know what the content you need, and you can start to reverse engineer what that future state should look like without shifting a lot of crap from an old system.
Yeah,
But
and that's exactly the other problem is, regardless if you're coming from an existing marketing automation platform that you want to replace, or you just, starting up with Marketing Cloud as your first marketing automation platform, you really need to have that level of awareness of what you want to use it and how you want to measure success. Because if you don't know, what type of welcome journeys do you have? Do you even need a welcome journey? Are you a subscription business? Are you an e-commerce business? Are you an automotive business? They all have different processes for acquiring new customers, for nurturing leads, for retaining customers, for winning them back. All that you really need to understand and put yourself in the shoes of your leads and customers, to understand, what would make them turn into your ambassadors. And then, as you say, do reverse engineering. We know that we will need a win-back journey. So when should we initiate a win-back journey? What kind of incentives should we have in the win-back journey? What channels are relevant for win-back journey? If we're about to lose you, we should probably not spam you with text messages because you'll get even more annoyed and you'll leave for sure. Right. So it's all these considerations that you need to have, to find the biggest whiteboard in your office and start drawing these journeys, because this is where you want to start. And remember to do it outside in. A lot of people, they think, hey, we are this company XYZ. We have world's best products. We just need to tell customers how awesome they are. Well, yeah, but you need to create some demand. You need to understand when and who is applicable to buy these products and why do they want to buy them, and focus on communicating how it can make their life better, and not just because you launched version 2.0 of your gyroscope enabled AI robot for kids. Well, but why should I buy it, even though it's awesome? Right.
I love the idea of a good customer journey map. We just did one ourselves again. It's something we rehashed too. Also love your example of the win-back campaign where you maybe want to suppress or figure out the right timing, because a lot of our innovation these days is into send frequency and figuring out the right timing, which I think is an underutilized dimension in how we think about marketing technology. So much is focused on the content and the targeting, and it's all good, right? It's very, very important. But the timing is also an interesting one. But maybe digging deeper into use cases specific to your business. At Maersk, you're in logistics. I'm kind of curious, what are some like really unique logistics use cases you've seen, and if there are any recent trends there that are important?
I think logistics, and this came as a surprise to me when I joined Maersk, is how complex logistics products are. Because it's not just about shipping a container from Singapore to Rotterdam or from Los Angeles to Vancouver or whatever. It's very much about capacity planning, and if you want to buy, you know, if you don't need a shipment to be at specific port at specific time, you can buy an option that, well, we might or might not load you on this ship, because if there are people who are willing to pay more, they'll go on this ship, you'll go on the next ship. You can buy a lot of value-added services. So right now we are focusing a lot on also providing complete end-to-end logistics. So it's not only about sailing from port A to port B with your container. We can also pick it up at your warehouse, and we can also deliver it when it arrives to the port of destination. So do you want to buy this as well? So it's super complex. There are a lot of factors that you need to take into account. And there are also different types of customers. There are customers who are huge. They ship tons of cargo each week from Asia to Europe or to North America. They have obviously a huge contract with Maersk. And there are also customers who just need to, if you're an expat and you go to US for a year or two, you might want a container for some of your furniture, your bicycle, or whatever. Well, you will not need a contract, but you might want to just do some self-service booking of that. So we try to cater for everyone, and imagine the complexity of digital marketing, where you need to both explain all the options there are for the complexity of our products for the more advanced customer, but also the ease of booking it yourself if you're just shipping a container once every 5 years. So it is a huge challenge, and the whole consideration phase of new customers, when we're talking about the big accounts, it's 6 months. And you have very different roles involved. You have C-level people, you have logistics managers, a lot of different profiles who are looking for a different attributes of our offerings. So you really need to understand in the whole funnel who is the right person to involve in the decision process at that stage, and what messaging should we send to them. Because obviously a C-level person does not care about how track and trace is working. They care about the price. They care about reliability. But the operations, well, they need to have maybe even an integration so their warehousing systems can talk to our systems, etc. So all of the attributes of our offering are so vast and diverse, and are demanded by different people in different stages of the funnel. So it really makes the journey design and the content design very, very difficult. But it also gives us a lot of value out of the first party data we have. So we can use it intelligently in driving these dialogues in months and months when we're doing lead nurturing.
Super interesting, because there's actually a parallel there with my business, which is that the majority of our revenue comes from, or at least more than 50% of our revenue comes from enterprise customers as well. So with 10,000 of employees or more typically. And the sales cycles can also be 6 months, sometimes longer if it's a complex industry like financial services. So one thing that I found though is there's a lot of handover to sales, and at some point you do step a little bit back from marketing. It becomes more about maybe marketing and sales enablement. I'm sorry, sales enablement. And there's a lot about ICP, persona, and feeding content. But you're more on the technology side. How do you see that? How do you look at the handover between marketing and sales? How do you think about marketing past that handover point? I'm very curious to learn more about that.
Yeah, I think it's really. Uh, I'll jump back in time now, also to my consultancy days, because for as long as I've been working in this field as a consultant, I've always seen B2B companies struggle with aligning sales and marketing. I think marketing, and I might become very unpopular now with salespeople, but I have a tendency to see that marketing has easier in understanding how sales is working than the other way around. Sometimes in some companies, sales, they basically see marketing as, these guys with banners on trade shows, or with some direct mailings or whatever, the old-fashioned the old-fashioned marketing or branding campaigns on television or on YouTube or whatever. So it's really important that sales and marketing have aligned KPIs, because it doesn't matter that marketing has a KPI where they're being asked to deliver 100 marketing qualifying leads a week. If sales doesn't pick it up, then these marketing qualified leads or sales qualified leads, they can be there for weeks and weeks. They're no longer hot. So it's really important that sales is measured on how quickly they're picking up these leads. They have some KPIs that actually are consistent throughout the funnel and drive all of the steps towards conversion equally efficiently. Because if you just have marketing with their KPIs and sales with their KPIs, and there's not really a Venn diagram where you have something where they are common, which is common for both of them, well, then you don't have the key to success.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I will say for someone who's done both, because I did sales when initially we were bootstrapping our company until we became venture backed. It is an underestimated craft, but marketing is so complex. It is the most data-driven function in most companies, including ours. And everyone has an opinion about marketing,
Yeah.
about the color, the shapes, whatever. And that gives the idea to people that it is easy, but it's really not. It is so challenging on so many levels. And talking a bit about your role here, Lukas, how do you think your role will evolve in the coming few years? There's so much going on in the technological landscape. And you have such an extensive experience. How do you think MarTech, the role of it, and your role will be evolving in the next few years?
Yeah. I think I for sure need to become, I see myself as a Mr. Exact Target. I know all the dirty tricks I can do on Marketing Cloud.
Mhm.
But it is a technology, it's a platform that is not native to Salesforce. It's been acquired back then, and it's been developed. It's quite well integrated with the other clouds. But it's really clear to see, especially after this year's Dreamforce, that the future is revolving around Data Cloud. The future is revolving around the Salesforce's own technologies and technology stacks. So Data Cloud, Salesforce Core, so sales and service. So I've seen this for well over a year now, that this is a transition that I need to embrace. I love Exact Target. I don't want it to go away. but also see myself that if I just stick to being fluent in exact target and Salesforce Marketing Cloud, um, I'll I will not be that relevant in maybe only 2 to 3 years from now. So I'm really digging into all the other technologies, trying to understand Agentforce, trying to, stay on top of my certifications beyond of what's only relevant for Marketing Cloud, because something like Integration Architect, which is a Salesforce core certification, talking about bulk API, Apex, callouts, and so on. So, well, suddenly it might not just be a sales service certification. It might also be relevant for marketing. So I don't want to be in a situation where I tell myself, "Oh, if I only started studying with a broader perspective a year or two ago, I would not have been here in this dead end street." So
Right.
I really embrace exact target Marketing Cloud, but I also acknowledge that I probably will stick to Salesforce ecosystem. I have too many connections. I have too much history there, so I don't want to flush it out and suddenly become Adobe or Oracle or whoever. But I know I need to adapt to how the development is going now.
Right. Makes sense to me. I think the good news is that, especially for Marketing Cloud engagement, so exact target,
Yeah.
my forecast, we still have many years to come because it's so much more deeply woven and so much more complex than anything else. For Pardot,
Mhm.
these days called Marketing Cloud account
Yeah.
engagement, mouthful, that will happen much, much faster. I think we're
Yeah.
actually already seeing that. And I'm sure even for Marketing Cloud engagement, there will be some new features that become available on core, but I think we have a little bit more bandwidth. But that said, us two are working very closely with Salesforce um, for our product lines. Segment, not so much, because that's a challenge very specific to
Mhm.
exact target
Yeah.
SQL, but Engage as a send frequency solution relevant for any marketing automation platform. So I find it actually very exciting to see this development. I've seen demos, I've seen early access demos of features from Marketing Cloud on Data Cloud or Marketing Cloud on Core, depends on who you talk with. You hear a different phrase. But in any case, the new Marketing Cloud products that are on Core. And I think it's cool. It's just very sharp. Some of the other layouts are a little bit dated, and there's strong competition from HubSpot, and they're very sharp and developing very fast.
Mm.
So I think it's a really good development for Salesforce to do this. Um, but Lucas, I feel we would be able to geek out about this probably for many hours. We do need to round up this call soon. I just wanted to see if you have any advice for any people just starting their career, or maybe for people who want to go more on the path of an architect. What would be some of your words of wisdom for them?
Yeah. I think a good architect listens more than speaks. I think this is what I'm seeing both in the community and with people I meet. Going back to the Trailblazer community, I see a lot of questions where answers are just, they just say, "Oh, you need to do this and this, this." But listen, what it might be, this person is asking, how can I do this? But is it what you want to do? What do you want to achieve? Because achieving something might come in a different path than what you want to do. So
Hmm.
again, understanding the underlying problem, understanding the actual ambition, and not just solving a task. It's really important, and also to have an understanding of being a hybrid person. Um, a good marketing architects, and I'm not saying marketing cloud architects, but marketing architects are unfortunately a very rare breed. You need to understand both marketing processes. Why is it important? What the email says, that we are relevant, that we have dynamic content that can adapt to what you have been browsing on the website, but also being able to speak with the tech people. Well, what do you expect in your REST API call, or how does this XML file look like? It's really a challenging span of competencies you need to possess. And I'm not saying that, you should start reading up on everything at once, but if you are looking for a North Star vision, you should be capable of equally speaking with the CMO and the CIO and actually being able to translate what each of them is saying so the other one can understand.
I think that's fantastic advice. It's architect with the end goal in mind. Lukas, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Anthony. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.